Hi, welcome to Local Flavor. My name is Oystein Stolberg, and with us here today we got Zoe, the crazy little hen. She also brought a little egg with her, and she also brought Joanne Garvey, which raises these little puppies in her backyard. So this is kind of what we're going to be working with today. Not Zoe herself, but a very close relative to her. So we'll be back here in a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to cook, kind of use egg in kind of different kind of preparations, and how to roast a little chicken action. So we'll be right back, and we'll see you guys inside. Hi, and then we're back here again at the Institute for Culinary Arts, where we ended up with a little chicken. This is not Zoe though. I just want to make sure so you guys don't think we're like killing chickens just in our backyard here. But this is a very nice chicken we get from that we bought from a very good friend of ours. It's humanely raised, like there's no antibiotics, like they get a good amount of trotting space, like a lot of commercial chickens are just kind of crammed in together, and then like they don't really get to be all chickens and happy and whatnot. But this is a very nice bird. You can kind of see it on the bird itself, like it's nice and it's strutting. All the limbs are like pretty nice and tight. It's a beautiful bird. So with this bird, we're gonna roast it and eat it. This is gonna be delicious. So one thing when, like my favorite way of cooking chicken is really whole, because like the breast meat, like if you cook it alone, it can very easily dry out. If you could roast it whole, it cooks a lot slower. You'll keep a lot more of the moisture in there, and all that skin really gets time to crisp up and get all sorts of delicious. One thing you want to be kind of careful with when roasting whole chicken, that you want to truss it up. So you want to try and close up the cavity down here, because if not, you're going to get hot air getting in here, and then the breasts are going to cook too fast. So if you don't close it up, the breast will overcook, while the legs and thighs will still be undercooked. So you don't want to try and avoid that. But it's very easy. Like we're just going to take some butcher's twine, and then we're just going to kind of tie it up like that. And then we're just going to run the twine around the wings like that, right there. And then we're just going to tie it up kind of behind the wings and behind the neck there. And just make it nice and tight. That way the bird will just stay close throughout the whole process. And just cut off the excess, like so. All right, so that'll help keeping it nice and tight there, and you won't have any string going over the breast. This will just make the breast be just nice and golden and excellent. If you had the twine running over the breast, like we just had that strange line running over it, it will look a little bit awkward. The wings, just tuck them behind the neck. Can be a little bit finicky sometimes, but you basically want the chicken to just kind of have a little nap like that. So when it's tied up like this, it'll roast nice and evenly, and it'll all be deliciously done at the same time. Then we're just going to season it up. Just going to use a little bit of vegetable oil. Just kind of rub down the exterior a little bit. And then just salt and pepper. Like so. And like with roasted chicken, like less is really more. Like I think just salt and pepper just kind of celebrates the chicken a little bit more. Like the more stuff you put on it, the less it's going to start tasting like chicken. Like it's a very kind of fragile type meat, to say it that way. But just salt and pepper, a little bit of oil. We're going to pop it in the 400-degree oven. It's going to take a little bit different time depending on what type of oven you have. But in this oven, which is set on convection right now, so you get hot air circulating all around it, it'll probably take about between 30 and 40 minutes, kind of depending on. But we're going to pop that one in, and then our dear friend Mary has some very insightful info on kind of free-range organic chickens. So just stay tuned, just see what Mary has to say, and we'll be right back. And I'm going to teach you guys how to make a little béarnaise sauce. So just stay tuned.
The Department of Animal Science at Iowa State University recently published a study looking at organic, free-range, and conventionally produced chicken. The chicken that was produced organic and free-range actually had a higher protein content and a slightly lower fat content per serving. The fat was also higher in essential fatty acids. This helps to build a case that free-range organic chicken may be more nutrient-dense than conventionally produced chicken. Chef Osteen, keep cooking with free-range organic chicken.
And we're back again at the Institute for Culinary Arts. And Mary had always got some very, very insightful information, and we appreciate her cooperation a lot. But I might not have told her which sauce we're making today. Maybe. Because it's maybe not the dietary's friend necessary, but it's very, very delicious. That makes up for it all. So I'm sorry, Mary, if you're watching this, but if you ate it, you would see why we chose that sauce, because it is fabulous, and it's an old classic sauce, and it's so delicious. It's not necessarily healthy, though, but every once in a while, it's totally fine to splurge. You just got to do it in moderation. I do it at kind of buckets at a time, but I'm special. So we're going to make a béarnaise sauce. It's basically like a derivative of hollandaise. Everybody had them on like their eggs Benedict and so forth. The béarnaise is just kind of seasoned a little bit differently. Like it's a little bit heavier on the vinegar and the wine, and a good chunk of tarragon in there. Super, super delicious, and it's going to go so well with our roasted chicken. So I'm super excited. Okay, so the way that you make it, you start with some wonderful, wonderful egg yolks. These ones I got from, this is the one I was playing when we were outside with Zoe here earlier, so I'm pretty excited to use it. Then also you need some clarified butter. You clarify the butter, because butter is an emulsion as it is in its cold state. So it contains a good amount of water in there. It's not all fat. But one way to kind of clarify it, to just get mostly kind of butter fat, is to kind of melt it down and let it sit a little bit. And then most of the milk proteins are just kind of go to the top, and then you skim those off. And then you just ladle the fat out, because it's going to, once you break that emulsion, that's going to separate, and then you just get clean just butter fat out of it. All right? So this is a little bit hot right now, but and you see that it's just like, it's not milky and white anymore. Like, it just looks more like oil, but that's really just clarified butter, which is delicious. At certain stores, you might be able to buy it already clarified. In Indian cuisine, they use it quite a bit, like they call it ghee. They usually clarify because it just increases the shelf life by quite a bit. And refrigeration is not necessarily something that's readily available there. So and that's why they clarify, because it's just easier to have around, and it's still fantastically delicious and all that. To season that, you got like a little vinegar and wine reduction here. So it's shallot, garlic, some peppercorns, some bay leaves, and then a pretty good chunk of tarragon in there. So it's going to be very, very delicious. So just going to strain that one in here, like so. Just make a little mess. So you are relying on a little bit of kind of sharp acid to break up some of that fatty feel on the sauce. Because if it's just eggs and fat, it's going to be very heavy. But a little bit of acid in there just kind of livens it up, and it makes it feel a lot more palatable too. And it's going to be delicious. Okay, so it's going to give it a little bit of pinch of salt. This will make the emulsion happen a little bit easier. Because what you're making now is basically like a warm mayonnaise is kind of the easiest way of explaining it, but it's super, super delicious. So on the side here, I got a pot of hot water. Be sure not to have too much. If you got little water, it's easier to control the temperature. Because what we're going to do, I'm going to put this pan right in there, this bowl. And I'm just going to start stirring like a crazy person. Going to add a little bit of a reduction. Just like a couple of drops for now. And then you want to just keep stirring like crazy. You want to stir until this reaches about 150, 160 degrees, until the egg kind of start coagulating. and this is going to start thickening up and turn into something that's called a ribbon stage. And at that point, we're going to start adding in the clarified butter, and that's going to create an emulsion and become a stable sauce, which is so delicious. And this is going to go very fast, so you just want to, like, you don't want to put it on and then go and grab something out of the fridge. Like, once you start whisking this, you want to stay right next to it all the way through. Like so. And basically, what you're looking for in the eggs when what I call the ribbon stage, that you should be able to kind of, it starts thickening a little bit, but it's not scrambled eggs. Like, it's just a little bit thicker. Like so. That should be about ready. Okay, so then we're ready to start adding in our clarified butter. And you want to start out fairly slow and just add a little bit at a time. And this is, if you got extra hands around in the kitchen when making the sauce, it kind of makes it a little bit easier. But I'm going to make it happen anyway somehow. So start out fairly slow. Make sure all the butter gets worked in before you start adding more. If you just pour it in there and stir, it's going to break. You're relying on the egg's ability to just absorb that fat to create a nice thick sauce. If it starts breaking, the eggs and the fat are just going to separate, and it's going to just be awkward. So, and once you kind of start having a stable emulsion, you can start adding a little bit faster, but you still want to be fairly careful. So, if it starts getting too thick, add a little bit more of the reduction, just to thin it down a little bit, and then you'll be able to add more fat, which is good. So, one large egg yolk, you should be able to hold to about 8 to 10 fluid ounces of clarified butter. It depends a little bit on the size of your eggs and so forth. But under kind of optimum conditions, you could technically fit like 20 fluid ounces, but that's in a lab pretty much. So most people don't have labs at home. So, and we're getting pretty close right here. So these eggs were pretty nice and small because Zoe is still a young little hen. So I'm not going to add that much butter in there, just a little bit. Like so. Alright, so see now that it's just a nice thick sauce like that. And you can keep adding butter too, and this will kind of keep thickening up quite a bit. So the only thing that's left to do with it, just give it a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, like so. And then you can taste it and adjust acid and see if it needs it. You can add more of the vinegar reduction, or you can add a little bit of lemon juice too, works fine. But I'm just going to set this one aside for now, and then right before we serving it with the chicken, I'm going to finish it off with some fresh chopped tarragon in there, and then just kind of do a little final seasoning on it. But for when storing this one, you want to make it fairly close to serving, because you don't want it to get cold, you don't want it to get too warm. You want to keep it around that 140, 150 range. If not, the eggs might still start to curdle, the sauce might separate, so it's a little bit finicky, but once you taste it, it's so worth it, it's marvelous. Then once you come back, we're going to make a little potato salad. And then Mary got a couple of wise words to us about a potato salad too. So just listen to what Mary has to say, and we'll be right back here in a little second.
The roasted potato salad dressing is a healthy alternative for those of you who like a creamy salad dressing. Chef Osteen has combined whole grain mustard with olive oil to create an emulsion, which is high in essential fats and vitamin E. Historically, mustard has been used to help to relieve arthritis and muscle pain.
Hey, then we're back here again at the Institute for Culinary Arts. Thank you again, Mary, for your always appreciated advice. So it's time to start putting these shenanigans together. So we're going to start by kind of getting the chicken out because it's been roasting in the oven now for a good old little minute. It just needs to rest for a little bit before we kind of start cutting it up. So we'll get this puppy out of here. And right now, like, it's just nice and crispy and awesome. Kind of some of that juice that comes out of chicken while roasting, like you want to save that for whenever you're making like a gravy or something like that, because it's quite delicious. It's like pure flavor, pretty much. I also got some roasted potatoes in here, so I'm gonna do like a roasted potato salad. It's gonna be quite so delicious. For kind of the dressing on it, I'm not going to use like a regular mayonnaise-based dressing. I'm going to make like a little emulsified vinaigrette. So to make that, I got an egg that it's very soft boiled. So I'm just going to pop it in here. I'm just going to kind of scoop it out of there a little bit. So basically, it just kind of pasteurized the egg, just so it's a little bit safer, pretty much. And the whites and everything, and just go straight in there, like so. Then I'm going to add a little bit of mustard to it. And I like using whole grain mustard because it's a good emulsifying effect, and it's not quite as strong as Dijon, and it's super, super delicious. Got a little bit of apple cider vinegar, just a little sprinkle dinkle, nothing too crazy. And a good pinch of sea salt, a couple of pinches just to be on the safe side. And a little bit of pepper in there. And then he's going to stir that up. All right, so the yolk is still nice and runny, so it's going to look very mushy and sludgy and strange at this point. But once you start getting the potatoes in there, it's just going to get really rich, delicious, and all sorts of yumminess. We're going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there, just like a little bit. This will just kind of thin it down a little bit, just so it kind of coats a little bit better. I'm not going to add much, because if you keep adding more to it, this is basically going to turn into a mayonnaise after a while. But just a little bit, because it tastes kind of good too. Like so. And then, so that's basically all I'm going to do to the sauce on it. Like, it's very, very straightforward. Right here I got some dill and some green onions that I just kind of chopped up real quick. And I got another egg. I'm just using so much eggs today, so like it's just fantastic. So I'm just going to add a little bit of egg to the salad as well. So to add it in there, I just got this handy little cooling rack. It's not necessary, you can just dice it up too, but I think this is kind of fun to do. So I just boiled the egg and peeled it. Then lay it on there and just squeeze it right in. But then it's perfect little dice right away. It saves a little minute, and it just feels nice to do. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of this vinaigrette and just toss it in here. Like so, with the kind of the soft-boiled egg and the hard-boiled egg, it'll get a pretty nice, rich flavor to it. It's going to be super, super delicious. Right there. And just toss it in, just so it's kind of like, it's just kind of starting to bind it, but it's not like too heavy and too gooey. It's just nice and light and super delicious. Then we got these wonderful fingerling potatoes. They're still a little bit hot. So I'm just going to add those in. I like adding potatoes to potato salad while it's still a little bit hot. It just makes the potatoes take on kind of the vinaigrette a little bit better. As long as it's not a mayonnaise one, because then you have to worry about the mayonnaise start breaking and stuff like that. That's not too fun. But this one, you're just going to kind of gently fold it together. Like so, it's just a very, very, very light salad. But it's got tons of flavor just with the eggs and the potatoes and a little bit of vinegar for that sharpness. And it's super, super delicious. I promise. Okay, so then I'm going to just set that aside. until we're ready to start plating. I'm just making a little mess here too. We got to finish our béarnaise. So this one I just been keeping it hot, just kind of on very, very low heat. I just got a little bit of chopped tarragon right in there. Another way you can kind of tweak this sauce is if you take some of the kind of the juice that got out of the chicken, reduce that down, it'll get what's called kind of chicken gloss. Then you can add that to the sauce as well. It'll take it to a whole nother level. Super, super delicious and just amazing. Then it's kind of started bordering kind of like a sauce feuillotte is called. And it's just so rich and so decadent, and it's amazing. You can also add like charred tomato paste. And like, there's so many different ways you can take this sauce, and it's so good with like a grilled steak or roasted chicken or anything under the sun. Like, I really do like kind of butter-based sauces. It's just marvelous. Right there, I'm just gonna set that one aside, and then we're just gonna kind of ladle that on there, like right before we eat all this shenanigans. And then for breaking this chicken up, it's very, very easy, especially since it's been cooked. I'm just gonna transfer it over to my cutting board right here. And it's a little bit hot still, but we'll cut it up nonetheless. So I'm just gonna get rid of that twine we used to truss it up, if it wants to. Right there. And it's very, very easy. And you're basically just going to take the legs and just kind of pull them off. The thing with kind of free-range birds, they're not drained quite the same way as a lot of kind of mass-produced chickens. So in the inside of the leg, you're going to have a vein, like a blood vein, running along kind of the femur bone. And it's going to leave the meat a little bit more red. So it might look like it's undercooked, so just be sure to double check, because it just might be that artery that's kind of staining the color of the meat a little bit. So don't freak out if it looks a little under. It's most likely it's not. Like, it's just that artery that still contains a little bit of blood. So nothing too dangerous. Then you're going to take the backbone, and we're just going to just cut it right out of there pretty much. Like, it'll come out very, very easy. Like so. And that's basically all I'm going to do to it. Like, I'm just going to, we might split it in half just for good measure. Right there. And just cut through that keel bone. Right, so then you just get 4 very just nice pieces of chicken. And a little mess. If you got a piece of bread, this is the time to kind of run it on your cutting board and just eat that, because it's delicious. Okay, so then it's time to plate all of this. So I got a sneaky little plate over here. I'm just going to start by just getting the potato salad on there. You're going to lay it just smack in the middle right there. Like so. Just try and just get a like a nice mixture of potatoes to onions to eggs and the whole hoopla. Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat all of this up. I'm gonna take a little bit of white meat. Take a little bit of dark meat. And just stack it right up. Like so. And let's see, I got a little spoon right here. Then we're just gonna just smother this whole thing in a little bit of sauce. Alright, so see, the sauce is just thick, and it's kind of like a loose mayonnaise pretty much, and it's just loaded with flavor and deliciousness. So I'm just gonna smother it in this sauce. Woo! Mary saw me now, like she would flip out. But then she would eat it, and then she would say thank you, because that was delicious. But that's it. It's super easy. It takes a little bit of planning, but putting it together, it's so easy. Anybody can do it at home. So like basically just pop the chicken in the oven, you make the sauce, you do the potato salad, like everything can be done in under an hour. And it's super easy, super delicious, and I'm gonna eat all of this all to myself. So that's about it what we have for today, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Mary, for all your advice. I'm so sorry about the sauce, but I figured it easier to ask for forgiveness rather than permission, so I just went with it. But thank you guys for watching, and be sure to check out our recipe on our website, and I'll see you guys around.
After high school, I became a father and had to put college on hold. I never had a chance to do what I really wanted. Now at 35, I'm moving forward with a career in media arts. MCC makes it convenient and comfortable, plus the facilities are outstanding. They were very accepting of me coming back.
On average, every hour of credit increases the income of an MCC student by $159 per year. The inspiring option is Metropolitan Community College.